Eastern China. In 2017, the Chinese began building a secret program in the city which was unknown to anyone. This program remained shrouded in secrecy for 3 years until late October 2020, when the Chinese announced their 14th five-year plan during the 19th Central Committee meeting of the ruling Communist Party. This 5-year plan is a set of major economic goals that China aims to achieve within just 5 years, from 2021 to 2025, including crucial and critical objectives related to research and development, which is the main battlefield between China and the United States. The Chinese identified 7 key areas in science and technology as top priorities. The first area was based on the secret program they had been working on for 3 years at that time, named the Chinese National Quantum Program. They started working on it, as I told you, from 2017 in a massive research facility in Hefei, and this city became the headquarters for the amazing Chinese program that stunned the Americans and Europeans with the Chinese advancements in quantum technology. During this period, Chinese President Xi Jinping met with some of the top Chinese quantum physicists and told them explicitly that the program is part of the national strategy, and that research in the quantum field would be like an advanced piece placed on the board. Do you know what the Chinese president meant by that? He referred to the board of the Chinese game Go, one of the most complex strategic games in the world, where pieces might initially seem unimportant in certain areas, but can ultimately contribute to victory. The Chinese president is saying that the Chinese quantum program would be like this piece. After the unveiling of the highly advanced Chinese program, a fierce war began between the shocked Americans and the Chinese in quantum research. What is this quantum technology that will change the face of the world? How is it related to artificial intelligence? How'd China surpass America for the first time in a field of quantum technology, and why are the Americans terrified of the sudden Chinese technological breakthroughs, the latest of which was in January just past, to the extent that they declared a national emergency due to the Chinese threat? This episode is very important, as it reveals a dangerous part of the struggle for the future, and who will simply be able to impose their control over the world after 10 or 15 years from now. Initially, it's necessary to quickly understand what quantum technology is and its applications before we delve into the ongoing conflict between the world's 2 largest economic powers. Quantum technology is a complex field of physics that explores the behavior of particles smaller than atoms, which are the basic building blocks of all materials. By exploiting quantum mechanics principles like superposition and entanglement, powerful tools and devices are developed with amazing capabilities in 3 main areas or applications of quantum technology: quantum computing, quantum sensing, and the quantum internet. To understand just how serious this subject is, stay focused with me. Let's look at quantum computing, for example. I'll ask you a question first. What constitutes the digital landscape in the world right now? Exactly. Classical computers which we all rely on, from smartphones and laptops to desktops and virtual reality glasses, up to the giant devices used by corporations that are currently leading the artificial intelligence revolution. All these devices are called classical computers, which are completely different from quantum computers or the devices of quantum technology. Traditional devices that we have now perform computational operations one after the other, and the basic unit of information is the bit, as we all know, representing one of 2 binary values, either 0 or 1. Quantum computing builds on a different basic memory unit, the qubit, which consists of atoms and subatomic particles and has the flexibility to represent 0, 1, or both simultaneously, thus enabling it to process many computational operations at the same time. The amazing properties of qubit movement make these devices' capabilities extraordinary. For example, if you brought the most powerful computer in the world with the highest specifications and gave it a complex task like decrypting a very complex code, it might take thousands of years to solve. How long do you think the quantum computer will take to solve or decrypt it? Guess the time frame. It's literally unimaginably quick, in a fraction of a second. Does anyone here know the man whose picture is on the screen? I consider him the most dangerous person in China right now. This is Pan Jianwei, who is known in China as the father of quantum, the mastermind behind China's efforts to achieve global leadership in quantum technology and founder of China's quantum satellite program. After the meeting of the Chinese president with top Chinese quantum physicists in 2020, he was naturally at the forefront, published a dangerous article in the official newspaper of the Ministry of Science and Technology of China, stating that China had been trying to develop 3 destructive applications of quantum technology. We've just clarified quantum computing, and quantum sensing is a technology that can detect or measure physical disturbances with unprecedented sensitivity and accuracy. Applications include quantum sensing devices that are airborne and can detect a submarine hidden hundreds of meters deep at the ocean floor, or steering devices that can operate autonomously for several months without a GPS signal. The third application is the quantum internet, and this technology will lead to ultra-secure communications because entangled particles will be used to transmit messages, thus preventing eavesdropping, as any attempt to hack the messages will cause changes in the particles and thus alert the users. Overall, quantum research will help achieve important scientific breakthroughs. Once quantum computers, with their incredible processing speed, are operational, this will lead to improved quality and will revolutionize almost all industries from aviation and automobiles to finance, clean energy production, and pharmaceuticals. Taking pharmaceuticals as an example, quantum computing will pave the way for treating diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's. According to a report by the management consulting firm McKinsey in June 2021 on quantum computing and drug research and development, the ability of quantum computing to simulate larger and more complex molecules much faster will help cure diseases and thus change the game for pharmaceutical companies. Companies should think from now about their strategic stance towards this promising new technology. And since climate change is one of the world's current nightmares, high-speed quantum computing simulations will assist scientists in developing more efficient batteries or fertilizers, or lead them to innovative ways to reduce carbon emissions. So, what does quantum technology have to do with the current artificial intelligence revolution? Of course, you are following the AI revolution happening right now, which we barely understand and are coping with. Generative AI like ChatGPT and other generative systems are developing at an astonishing rate day by day, and this amazing development is fundamentally based on powerful computational processing capabilities. The more this capability increases, the more these systems evolve and advance. This revolution is fueled by classic computers. Can you imagine if we installed these AI systems on quantum computers? What would happen? If we would like to visualize it, we can say that the current AI revolution is like a car or a vehicle riding on a 4,000cc engine like the engines of BMW cars, a powerful engine that pushes AI to its limits. Imagine with me when we come to operate the 4,000cc engine and replace it with, say, a 1,000,000cc engine. I want you to just imagine it as rocket fuel that will bring about a complete transformation in AI systems. We might call it Judgment Day technology. These are some examples of the revolution that quantum technology will bring about, although it's still in its preliminary stages. But recently, China and America have made major breakthroughs in it. So if that's the case, why not convert classic computers to quantum computers and use them commercially? Currently, quantum computers operate in a very complex environment. They must be in a protected environment and operate for short periods in very specific tasks and make many mistakes. Scientists still face major challenges in obtaining qubits to maintain superposition and entanglement long enough to complete any task. So far, cases of quantum superposition and entanglement are very fragile, and without a certain temperature and suitable environmental conditions, they quickly lose their properties and act in a chaotic and intermittent manner. So for qubits to work properly, they must be stored in special refrigerators at very low temperatures near the point where atoms stop moving. Thus, studying quantum computing requires huge material and human resources. And here, the competition and struggle between China on one hand and the United States and Western countries on the other are revealed. On February 15th last year, the Center for Strategic and International Studies, known as CSIS, a famous American research center, released a very important and shocking paper for the Americans regarding the fierce conflict between China and America in quantum technology. The research center says that the United States may actually be behind China in quantum technology, meaning that although America recently began imposing a blockade on China and preventing the arrival of quantum technology inputs to it, as it did before with semiconductors, the situation here is slightly different because China has already reached an advanced position in the competition and surpasses America in some quantum technology applications and spends more on research than the Americans themselves. Look with me now. These are the 9 largest countries plus the European Union announced cumulative funding for quantum research. Let's take them from the lowest to the highest to understand where the Americans' terror comes from. The lowest funding in the world is in Singapore, followed by the entity Ziffer and Russia, and Canada, and India like it, and the United Kingdom and Japan and the United States, and before them, by a large margin, the European Union. So who is the largest country of all the past countries and entities? China. How much did they announce funding for quantum research? $15.3 billion, more than double what the European Union governments pledged together and 8 times what America pledged. According to McKinsey, this huge Chinese spending has spurred the development of dozens of Chinese research institutes specializing in quantum technologies, in addition to establishing the country's first doctoral program in quantum technologies, and thus, this created a culture that enhanced rapid progress in this field in China. And within a few years, they were reaping the results. More than half of the world's patents in quantum technology are owned by China. We're talking about more than 53% of the global patents, compared to 11.2% for the European Union and only 10% for America. The Chinese are very focused on this area and make it a priority for Chinese national security, and every so often, directives are issued from the highest heads in the state to Chinese scientists and researchers that they must achieve breakthroughs in quantum technology and other areas of advanced technology. The latest of these directives was on January 29th last year, when a document was issued by the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology. The Ministry of Science and Technology, the Chinese Academy of Sciences, and other Chinese administrations urging the entire Chinese nation to focus resources on achieving technological breakthroughs in specific areas such as quantum computing, graphics processing units, robotics, brain-computer interfaces, and other advanced technologies to seek control over future industries, as the document says. These new guidelines set goals for achieving breakthroughs in at least 100 advanced technologies by the year 2025, and that China becomes a global leader in certain areas by the year 2027. Just days before the guidelines were issued, specifically in early January, the Chinese shocked the world with a new breakthrough in quantum computing when the Chinese company Quantum Computer Technology, headquartered in Hefei, announced the emergence of the 3rd generation of superconducting quantum computer. The company had delivered the 1st and 2nd generations of superconducting quantum computers to the Chinese market in 2020 and 2021, and this 3rd generation of these powerful devices, whose efficiency has increased by tens of times compared to the previous 2 generations. With this, China joins the 3rd country after the United States and Canada to have the capability to offer a complete system for quantum computing. The classic devices that the whole world relies on now use silicon chips. In quantum devices, the situation is different. According to a joint statement from the Anhui Center for Quantum Computing Engineering Research and the main laboratory of the province for quantum computing chips, the 3rd generation quantum computer is powered by a superconducting quantum chip named Wukong chip. containing a total of 198 qubits, and it is now the most advanced programmable superconducting quantum computer available for delivery in China. Let's pause for a moment at the Chinese company Origin Quantum, which stands behind the greatest achievement. Do you know which companies this company competes with in the United States? Technology giants IBM and Google are the companies that produce superconducting quantum computers, and although the number of qubits in them is larger, they have been working on developing quantum computing since the 90s approximately. The Chinese company Origin Quantum was founded in 2017 only by Guo Guoping and Guo Guangkeng, who are quantum physicists at the University of Science and Technology of China, known as USTC. Despite the company's relatively recent establishment, it was behind the first production line for quantum chips and the first operating system for quantum computers and the first system for measurement and control in quantum computing in China. This is in addition to the many patents owned by this fledgling company. Origin Quantum ranks first in patents for quantum computing in China and sixth worldwide. After the announcement of the third generation of the quantum computer Origin Wukong in January last year, the Chinese made an unexpected comeback and made the quantum computer available for free use to anyone in the world. Within just 10 days, 350,000 visitors from 61 countries were able to use this super-fast computer, and users from the United States topped the list as well. The device was able to accomplish about 34,000 quantum computing tasks in this period alone. Of course, it goes without saying that American quantum computers are not open to China. Here, the Chinese are actually flexing their muscles on the entire world, including America itself, and this is not all they say, this is just the beginning. In November last year, the Chinese daily science and technology newspaper, a government newspaper, said that the company SpinQ, specializing in quantum computing, delivered the first superconducting quantum chip named QBU, which was developed locally to a scientific research institute in the Middle East. But the newspaper didn't say what its name is and in which country exactly. I hope it was sold to a research institute in an Arab country, not to the Ziffer entity in the end. The important thing is that the Chinese company SpinQ, which is considered among the fastest Chinese companies in the field of quantum computing, was founded in 2018 in the city of Shenzhen in southeastern China and independently established a research and development center for superconducting quantum computers and a production line for superconducting quantum chips. What's amazing about the matter is that the company exports quantum computing products to countries on 5 continents, headed by the United States itself and its allies such as Canada, Australia, Britain, Germany, Switzerland, Norway, Japan, Brazil, and many other countries. And this shows the growing Chinese influence in the global quantum computing industry. The Chinese did not stop there. This time, the blow came from the spiritual father of quantum technology in China, the father of quantum, Pan Jianwei, who led a research team and achieved a record breakthrough in quantum computing according to a research paper published in October last year in the journal Physical Review Letters, which is peer-reviewed. The breakthrough simply was the development of the latest quantum computer named Chang 3, which used photons, which are small particles that move at the speed of light as a physical medium for computations. The Chang machine, named after an ancient mathematics textbook, was able to solve an extremely complex mathematical problem in a fraction of a millisecond. Do you know how long the fastest supercomputer in the world will take to solve this problem? The supercomputer Frontier, developed by the United States and selected in mid-2022 as the most powerful computer in the world, will take 20 billion years to complete the task that the Chinese quantum computer Chang 3 solved in a fraction of a millisecond. An amazing and mind-boggling thing. Of course, in the midst of these sudden Chinese breakthroughs, the Americans are standing stunned like someone hit on the head. As mentioned in a report talking about the quantum technology race between China and America in the Diplomat newspaper, in this quantum race, whoever comes in second place will be the first to lose. Why? Because simply the first country to own quantum technologies will have a toolkit that will enable it to defeat unprepared competitors. The country will be able to break current encryption and build unbreakable encrypted communication networks and develop more accurate sensors. The first country in the field of quantum will be able to threaten the informational infrastructure of companies, armies, and second governments faster than their ability to defend themselves, in addition to controlling a market whose global market value will reach $1 trillion by 2035. That's why the Americans are shocked and trying to understand what China has achieved despite the strict restrictions imposed to stop the Chinese advance in this field. The latest package of restrictions was in August last year when U.S. President Joe Biden announced a national emergency due to the Chinese threat. Biden announced that this step is a national emergency to deal with the threat of advancement by countries of concern in sensitive technologies and products of military or intelligence or surveillance or cyber capabilities of these countries, and of course, there was no other country referred to in this emergency announcement other than China, in addition to the two administrative regions under it, which are Hong Kong and Macau. The new restrictions imposed by Biden aim to restrict American investments in Chinese companies in three areas, which are quantum technologies, semiconductors, and microelectronics, and some artificial intelligence systems. After the announcement of the American national emergency, in October last year, a committee of the American Congress specialized in China began investigations with the venture capital company Sequoia Capital regarding its investments in Chinese quantum computing companies and Chinese artificial intelligence and semiconductor companies. Sequoia Capital was not the only venture capital company investigated. Other venture capital companies like GGV Capital and GSR Ventures and Den International, Qualcomm Ventures were investigated. This was not the only American tightening on China in the field of quantum technologies. Previously, in 2021, 3 Chinese quantum computing organizations were listed on the list of entities subject to sanctions issued by the U.S. Department of Commerce. Therefore, no American company is allowed to sell them products without a license. At that time, the U.S. Department of Commerce said that these 3 Chinese quantum computing entities support the military modernization of the Chinese army and develop applications for anti-stealth and anti-submarine capabilities and the ability to break encryption. And since 2019, the U.S. Department of Commerce has been consulting with companies from allied countries to prevent the sale of vital components for quantum computing to industrial entities such as dilution refrigerators that create very low temperatures for controlling and manipulating qubits. In 3 companies, they are the largest in manufacturing dilution refrigerators used in quantum technology, which are Blue Force Oy in Finland, Oxford Instruments Nanoscience in Britain, and Janus ULT in the United States. These 3 companies controlled about 70% of the global market for dilution refrigerators in 2021. Naturally, they were restricting the Chinese from accessing their devices, and the American administration was considering imposing a comprehensive ban on selling these refrigerators to the Chinese. But the Chinese response was faster by just a few days, and specifically on February 28th, Chinese newspapers announced that the country had begun mass production of a refrigerator named EZKQ, which is a dilution refrigerator for superconducting quantum computer chips. Chinese newspapers said that in light of the technological blockade imposed by Western countries on China, which restricts its access to vital components necessary for quantum computing research, researchers at the Anhui Research Center for Quantum Computing Engineering and Quantum C-Tech, a leading Chinese company in providing devices and services for quantum communication encryption, developed a commercially available dilution refrigerator for customers around the world as well, and began delivering them to customers starting from the second quarter of 2023. And thus, China will end its dependence on international manufacturers, especially from Finland, the United Kingdom, and the United States. China has become the biggest nightmare for the Americans in the field of quantum technologies. a phobia suffered by the United States to the extent of distancing from anything related to the Chinese, to the extent that the senior American trade official, Catherine Tai, told the BBC a few days ago that the sharp decline in trade with China could be a positive thing and not negative. Last year, 2023, the volume of goods sold by the two largest economies in the world, America and China to each other, decreased by 17% amid the sharp economic division in the global economy between the two major powers that are distancing from each other, and this is costing the global economy huge losses. According to a study conducted by the World Trade Organization, the division between China and the United States will cost the global economy 5% of the gross domestic product. Speaking of the World Trade Organization, whose role has greatly declined in recent years, it's no longer able to control violations of trade rules between the largest economy in the world. So a few days ago, the 13th Ministerial Conference of the World Trade Organization was held in Abu Dhabi to discuss reforming the organization and agreeing on updating the rules of global trade. And this is very important because the World Trade Organization has become like the old man who lost control of his subjects. So, there must be reforms to address this slackness. And next January, we will likely see Donald Trump in the White House again, and therefore we are expected to see more imposition of tariffs on China and Chinese counter-tariffs, thus increasing the intensity of the trade war between the two countries, and this will severely harm the global economy. In the end, I have a question for you. Do you think China will surpass the United States in the field of quantum technology?